All right. This one's going to be tough. Jags and the Browns. This is 3 in favor of the Browns at home. 32.5 is your total. This just came through as we were recording this, that Stefanski is not going to name a starting quarterback for the Browns. And so we get to guess whether it is going to be Joe Flacco or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He did say that DTR has cleared concussion protocol. So here we go. We at least know that we won't know anything about the Browns. And by the way, we won't know anything about the Jags either, though it is expected that Trevor Lawrence is not going to play for the Jags. He was out there at least trying to hobble around in practice. So there's that going on as well. Adam, it's a guess. Your guess is as good as mine. I think Flacco, it gives the Browns a better chance to win. I think this Browns team is in the position to make the playoffs, and running DTR out there is probably going against that. And maybe I don't know why you would, but hey, I'm not an NFL coach.
But you play one on TV. So
yes.
Now when we look at this game, we have so many questions. The weather was supposed to be a big deal. It's going to be a deal, not a big deal. There's going to be some wind and some rain. The total on this thing is plummeted down to 32.5. And I know that it's hard in the National Football League for any of us to believe that a game could still play well under that. And I still think this game plays well under that. The Cleveland Browns defense is not good or great. It's otherworldly, and they're back home again where they have been so much better with the crowd noise on their side than every other defense in the world. On the other side of this game, I don't really understand what Doug Peterson's doing here. There's no game plan mystery to try to figure out if it's Trevor Lawrence or if it's CJ Beathard, right? We don't trust either of them at this point. We don't trust Trevor Lawrence to be healthy enough to be Trevor Lawrence, and we don't trust CJ Beathard at all. And by the way, he's hurt. So I don't think the Jaguars are live to score a whole lot in this game. That being said, you're not getting me to bet into the Browns and whether I get Joe Flacco or Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which actually is a bit of a scheme difference. So that is something for the Jaguars to have to prepare for. I don't think the Jaguars defense is as bad as we saw last week. Just the same as I don't think the Jaguars defense is as good as when over the first 7 weeks of the year, they were number 2 in EPA, and I got fooled by them in that game against the San Francisco 49ers. So I actually think under is still the look here. 16-7, 10-7, 14-10, 14-13, 17-13, a bunch of scores that still get you under, and I don't see how any of the quarterbacks in this game, even a 70-60% Trevor Lawrence against this defense, is going to change that.
Steven, no Christian Kirk. He moves to IR. We know that Amari Cooper is still in concussion protocol, though it says, I guess, that it is within the realm of possibility for him to clear tomorrow, it says, but he is still in concussion protocol. So you have likely no Amari Cooper as well in this thing. So it's just a game of a massive amount of unknowns, like just so many things we have no idea about. I guess the only thing we do know is if Amari Cooper can't go, Elijah Moore is going to get the vast majority of the targets in this game for the Browns. What do you see here in this one, if anything?
Yeah, Elijah Moore, 12 targets last week, even though he only caught 4 of them. So if it is Joe Flacco, I think he is going to look to Elijah Moore again if Cooper can't pass the protocol. I agree with you that I think Flacco gives them the better chance, especially with the weather forecast improving. If it was going to be really windy and rainy, then maybe the mobile quarterback would have been helpful. But I think Flacco is a little bit more seasoned here. I don't think DTR really moves the needle for me. For what it's worth, just looking at last week's results on quarterbacks who had at least 20 plays, Flacco ranked 22nd out of 25 in EPA and CPOE composite, which is bad, but not as bad as what we've seen from like DTR and PJ Walker this year. So this is a complete unknown on the sides for me. I'll just mention maybe like a couple reception over props with the Kirk injury. It might mean Evan Ingram gets fed more, especially with a ferocious pass rush, and they're going to have to get rid of the ball. They've been featuring him a little bit more over the past couple of weeks, and especially when Kirk went down against Cincinnati. He's at 8 and 9 targets. And again, we mentioned the Elijah Moore potential here to have even more receptions than what he put up, because 4 out of 12 on the receptions is pretty weak, and I would expect him to catch more than 4 this week if Cooper's out.
Yeah, it's just a weird game. I just don't.
Matt, let me ask you one last question. Yeah. If Trevor Lawrence somehow is going to get trotted out there with some like crazy, robot brace on his leg, and they're going to try and let him give it a go, that probably means this line's going to move even more, and the Browns are going to be under a field goal. At that point, are you interested? Because yes, it's Trevor Lawrence, but also he's going to be a sitting duck back there against this pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, I hate betting on these teams that have no offense, but right. It's just because I think it's within it. I honestly think it is like a non-zero chance that the Jags could win this game outright, even with a statue Lawrence back there, whatever, because they just can't. The Browns just can't score enough, right? I mean, I think that's certainly within the range of outcomes. The Jags, for me, then at that point would at least be an interesting teaser leg. 32.5, a Browns defense that has still continued to play at a pretty high level. This Jags defense, as Adam mentioned, I don't think they are as bad as we saw last week. By the way, a lot of air quote good defenses got torched last week. So, I mean, it's just like we're getting to the point in the season where maybe some of these guys get tired and like we're not going to see the absolute A+ effort each and every single week. But I mean, the Niners got torched last week. The Jags got torched last week. The Cowboys got torched. I mean, there's a lot, right? So anyway, just stuff to think about when it comes to that as well. Just a weird ass game. I don't know. I'm probably just going to sit that one out when it comes down to it.